Hi, I'm Adam,
This is Kevin.
and we are Tech Guys Who Invest. This is the place for business people and investors to learn all about investing. We offer a fresh perspective on what it's like to have a day job while investing, and we share lessons learned on our investing journey. Our vision is to educate and entertain you while adding tons of value to your daily commute. Welcome to our show.
All right, we're back with another episode of the Tech Guys Who Invest podcast. In this episode, we have some fantastic, exciting news to share with all of you. Adam and I started the Tech Guys Who Invest podcast not only because we wanted to educate investors on how to invest wisely and safely, we wanted to document our financial journey as well. So as we're acquiring assets and doing due diligence, taking action towards actively achieving our financial freedom, we want to bring all of you along the way. Again, ultimately, because we want to help you invest wiser and safer. So in this episode, you're going to hear how Adam's feeling about this 81 unit deal that he's working so diligently on. So without further ado, here's the episode. What's going on, Adam? How you doing today?
Hey, Kevin. I'm doing awesome, man. I'm super excited today.
That's good. I remember at our last cash flow game, which, by the way, if you are in the Tampa area, we have it every 3 weeks on Thursday from 6 to 8 at the Panera on West Shore and Kennedy. And we just love playing the game, and it's a great way to change the way you look at money. And that's why the game was. And we like to think of it as more of a more realistic monopoly.
Yeah, you can find it on meetups if you're local to Tampa.
Exactly. And sorry to digress, but Adam, you were talking to me about an opportunity or a deal that you've got in your crosshairs.
Yeah, it's a big one for me. So I'm really excited about it. It's an 81 unit portfolio in Tampa. So that's
huge.
Very exciting. Yeah, it's big for me for sure, and I'm just really excited to be part of it. A friend of mine who I've been developing a relationship with as another multifamily real estate investor over a couple of years reached out to me with this opportunity and let me know about it. So I took a look over the deal, and I can kind of tell you how it played out and what I was feeling once he reached out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want our listeners to learn about. But to unpack the idea that it took a couple years to build this relationship. This is something that I myself struggle with too, that when I'm talking to asset managers, if I don't reach them the first couple times, doesn't mean that I will never be able to reach them. It may just take time for that relationship to come into fruition.
Yeah, what's cool about it, I've already learned a lot just from the experience, and it's only been, a few days, and I've already learned how meeting people and working hard to maintain a connection and build a relationship can really pay off, and you never know where it's going to come from. Me and this guy had sort of looked for ways to be in a deal together in some way over the last couple of years, and then it just happened. And I'm doing the same thing with other people, and other people are doing the same thing with me. So you never know where it's going to come from. It's cool, though, to think that the hard work paid off in this instance.
Absolutely. And I'm very happy for you. 81 units is no joke by any standards. I mean, especially for a first large multifamily deal, that's huge.
Yeah, that thought keeps going through my head as I just love that it's that size, because for me it gives me so much that I want in terms of the experiences I'll get, what it will do for my portfolio of real estate. All of that is just great. I love that it's a bigger deal for me.
So take us through the process. I want to know what it felt like. This guy comes to you out of the blue, and you just converse with him, rebuild that relationship, or how did that whole process work?
Well, yeah, actually, he emailed me and let me know about this opportunity, and he gave me kind of a high level overview of it and told me they're looking for someone to raise capital in the deal. They've got some other people they're doing the same thing with because we have to raise quite a bit of capital for it, and asked me if I might be interested in it. So I looked over what he sent me, and on the surface, it did look interesting to me. So I set up a call with him and we talked through it. And after getting the all of the details of the deal, I was definitely interested at that point. And then I started to just get really, really excited. And I would say that was my emotion, is just happy excitement about, yes, finally, like this, I finally feel like this will really happen, because it's been a long time. I've been
Sure.
working really hard for a long time, and nothing has really, you know, panned out, or fully come to fruition, or however you want to say that. So it's like in my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, awesome. This is finally going to happen. Maybe this is really going to happen.
You have to have that, I think, that hope, because it does help feel, it makes the work worth it. It's the same reason as having that end goal in mind, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I got to say, that's one of the tougher things about being an active investor, is if you're going for the bigger stuff, and you're breaking into this without experience or without connections already built or people, it's difficult to break in my opinion. Or it has been for me, I should say. That's been my experience. So I've been working really hard, and it's hard not to get discouraged after working for a long time and you're not seeing big signs of progress moving forward.
Yeah. And even the smaller signs, you keep thinking to yourself, why don't I have more? Or what can I do more? And you become self critical. At least that's what I'm experiencing. And because we think alike, I'm sure it's the same way.
It is. It's the exact same way. And that's what I think. So that's one of the reasons this has helped me so much. So I got to say, one thing that's going through my head is, look, at this point, even if it doesn't work out, I felt I really felt the notion that this is going to happen for me, whether it's this one or another one. I now know that all I need to do is just not give up, persist. I have a little note card in my truck that I look at, maybe not every day, but almost every day. I look at it and it says, persistence and dedication are critical. So
Did
I
you come
have
up
to,
with that, or is that a quote you found from someone you admire?
yeah, I think I put it together from a couple of different things that I found.
It's like creating
I've
a
had it
deal.
for a while. Yeah,
And at the
I
end of it,
know.
you forged a relationship. Almost, I don't like to use rekindle, but because the context of intimacy. But I think it's more so you're reconnecting, if you will. So this person will have you at the front of mind, like, hey, this deal didn't work out, but Adam is a legitimate investor. He knows his stuff. He was working hard to raise capital. We can utilize him. Again, it's almost like you're proving yourself.
Right. And that just reiterates the importance of doing that with others, because there are others in my network who I'm in touch with. I try to not let too much time go by before I reach out to them, and, occasionally check in. And it just reaffirms to me how important that is to do that, because you never know where the next one's going to come from.
Absolutely. And I also, before we talk about the deal, I think it's worth pointing out that an investor that's more experienced than you is still coming at it from an abundance mentality, thinking of it, okay, how can we bring more people in to make this deal happen? It's not, oh, we need to raise capital in a short amount of time, we can't do it. It's, how can we do it? What other resources can we bring along? Who else can I help succeed?
Right. Yeah, that's pretty neat to see, and it's also neat to talk with them and see how they're thinking as um, someone more experienced. What types of things are they thinking about? So that's pretty cool. I know for me at this stage in the game, really, really early on, just being brought in, deal reviewed with me. Is this something that we think we might be able to work together on? What I'm thinking is, who should I be calling first? Let's see, who's on my list, who has expressed interest in investing with me and I have a pre-existing relationship with. um, who am I going to reach out to first, and things like that. That's what's going through my head.
Those are some good thoughts to have.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I know as the deal moves forward in time, I'll have much different thoughts over the course of time. Like, these are just the very first thoughts that pop through my head. So it's kind of neat to have those memorialized in a way.
Yeah. And I think tracking it is a great way, as you're doing right now, so that we can share these experiences with others, because that's where we're coming from. Whatever action we're taking, regardless of our identities, I think that's why we have the show. Is we just want to share what we're doing, what we're learning, with the hopes of inspiring somebody to take action in the same regard. So just to go off on a tangent on that.
No, that's perfect. I mean, I think that's exactly what we're doing. And that's why I've been logging some of this so we can share it, because I don't think you really hear that in other places. I know I didn't. And it's kind of neat to know what another person just like you is going through. Like, it's real, right? What are some of the first thoughts that goes through someone's head when they start to realize that this dream they've had and something that they've really been working hard for looks like it's starting to happen. It's almost like it would, not that I'm trying to compare myself to, some famous musicians or anything like that, but wouldn't it be cool to have that kind of journal or recorded experience from some famous, rock musician or, artist,
where we've documented the reason they did this riff, why they used this chord, what they were feeling at the time. So we get not only the song, but we get the literal experience of how it was created.
Yeah, and what it felt like to be in the band when you realized they were going to be big or something like that. Oh, our first song is really going to be popular. This is really going to happen for us. Yeah, it's got to be an amazing feeling for those guys. Well, on a smaller level,
great.
That's what it feels like for me. It's my version of that.
Now, at the surface level, when you first received, so I guess I have to ask, how did you find out about the deal? Did they send like a investment packet? Did he send you like what do investors send to people that they want to bring in on the deal?
Yeah, he did. He sent me an offering memorandum, which is a little package of information that has the details of the deal.
Okay.
So it had everything about the deal, like the property description, all of the things about it, the financials, things about the team itself, some things about their business plan and what they would like to do. And, all of those details that you might be interested in to consider investing in the deal.
Now, what are the markers at the surface level? I guess if you could give us a couple that you use to say, what, this is a deal that I want to put some effort towards.
Yeah. Without sharing details of the deal itself right now, I'll tell you that I was looking at the cash on cash return, the, IRR, or the, average annual return for capital put into the deal. So, looking at those types of financials, like basically what kind of return are you going to get on your investment? Those are some of the first things you look at. And then other things you're going to look at, I mean, everything that they presented is important. So I'm looking at the location of the property and some things about the property and what their plan is for it. So their plan is to add value and increase the worth of the property. So they'll do that through some improvements in different places. And I read all of those details about that. That's very important to me. And then, it's also interesting to read about the team itself. So, there's a little bit in there about the team. Yeah.
Because you could have the right property with the wrong team and fail.
Right. So some members of the team are like the investors themselves, some advisors to the team. So those are very experienced real estate investors and coaches, and then the property manager. So it's good to look at those people or those roles on the team and make sure that you're comfortable with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. If you're not comfortable, it's not worth, you just would be at the wrong frame of mind to make an investment in time, energy, and money, of course.
Right.
Now, without giving away too much, with the location, what were kind of some markers that led you to think, or that make you feel this is a good investment? Is it X not miles from the highway? Are there certain chain retail stores that are close by? Like, I just want to pick your brain around that.
Yeah, it's nice because it's in an area that I see is improving. So there are investment dollars going in around the area, visible signs of major investments in the area itself, new stores, and some other big businesses expanding in the area and things like that. So that's what's exciting to me. It is a kind of a central location, so it's pretty convenient to get to. That's important. And everything someone would need, like they can walk to like food places, and they can quickly get to shopping and entertainment. So those types of things are also very important. It's a convenient area.
That's good. So it sounds like a couple things. When you say investment dollars are being brought into that area, it's a matter of being observant. Let's say you're driving around, you're saying, oh, there's new construction here, or there's a new Walmart or a new Target, whatever. You're actively looking around for signs that say we might be on the up and up somewhere. And then also clues in the news, right? If you can find that stuff in the local newspaper or on the internet locally, is my point. So I think that is something to be said as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be sure that it is that type of an area, that it's an area where it's growing, which means the population in the area will be strong and continue to grow. And it's not in an area that seems like it's in decline. People are leaving the area. Money is going out of the area. That would be very bad. You want to stay away from those types of places.
Absolutely. When we talking about value, it's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that with commercial properties, when you talk about value, you can do things like renovate it, maybe add new fixtures such as a new kitchen to each unit, which you can then charge a premium. And because you can increase the rent that way, that increases the value of the overall property, because commercial properties are evaluated based off of the income they're producing.
Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. They are valued based on their profitability, based on the revenue they generate. And if you do things to be able to charge more rent, then you increase the value of the property.
So that's something I think it's worth noting. If you are trying to increase the rent, right, I think you should have that in the lease that it's going to increase by X%. But if you're renewing the lease and you're not really doing anything to add value to increase the rent drastically, I don't see how a tenant would justify staying there.
Yeah, it would be tough to do that. So it's important that it's a good deal in terms of you have the ability to do that. You couldn't just buy a place and because you're a new owner decide you want to charge them a lot more rent and make more money for yourself. It's just, first of all, it doesn't sound right. Don't think it would work out that well for you either. I think people would just leave. So you have to buy a place that you can improve, make it better. And then when it's time to renew the lease, explain rents are going up because this place is nicer and it's going to be nicer. And we're going to have really good people wanting to live here. And, it's a better place to live now. So for that reason, it's going to cost a little bit more. And people, they can understand that. They can justify that. And most people are pretty happy with it because now they're in a nicer place.
Yeah, agreed. And if I'm going to be in a nicer place, I will definitely be more than happy to pay a higher premium for rent.
And there are people out there, landlords and property owners, who specialize in not nice places. That their
There are.
niche, I mean, they call them slumlords, right? And that's how they prefer to make money, is by buying crappy, dumpy buildings and making people live in poor standards and poor environments, and not charging them a lot of money, because they're like, well, they need a place to live. I'm giving them a place to live. It's cheap. That's all they can afford. And I just can't stand that business model. Our business model is, let's attract good tenants, people who want to live in a nice place. And we're not going after A-class properties, so places
Sure.
that you and I and a lot of white collar professionals would live in, but more B and C, where you're good blue collar worker who are good people want a good, safe, clean, nice place to live. Also, they're just not as expensive, so they're going to be a little bit older, maybe, but they'll still be really nice, and that's what we're going for.
Okay. And at this point, I guess the last question that I want to ask around this for this episode, if you will, regarding your deal, what are your concerns? Like, what scares you about this deal?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that, because my first emotion was excitement. Oh, yes, finally. Awesome. This is great. I'm going to meet my dreams. And then I'm like, oh no. Like, what happens if I can't raise the money? What happens if nobody wants to invest in this? What do I do? And who should I call? What if I can't, get the people I want to come into this? And so I started going through all of those thoughts, just started racing through my head.
And how do you
So you go
defeat
through
them
these
then?
ups and downs. Well, you just have to kind of remind yourself that your job's to do the best you can, right? Do your job, do what you know is right, work hard, and what happens, right? You'll be able to say you've done your best. And that's how I deal with it myself. So
Agreed.
I did get a hold of one investor who I was hopeful would be an investor, and they just put their money on something else. And so they're not going to be able to invest. And I was like, oh man, so you go through these ups and downs, and
Right. I
it's
agree.
just kind of the way it feels.
Well, thank you, Adam, for
So,
sharing this. Our listeners, stay tuned. We envision this becoming a series as Adam and I are coming across opportunities that we're trying to invest in and basically acquire. We feel it's important for us to be transparent and share the things that we are learning, the things that we're doing, because we want you to learn as well.
stick with us and let us know what you think about this. Do you like this? Is it is it educational and fun, and do you enjoy hearing about it, or something else you would like to hear more of? But our hope is that you really enjoy hearing what it's like to us to go through this and to come along the journey with us.
Thanks, everybody.
That's it for this episode of Tech Guys Who Invest. This is Adam.
And this is Kevin. Thank you so much for listening to us. Don't forget to join our Facebook page, where we're building a community of investors so that we can share ideas, tips, and other ways to help us get out of the rat race. If you found value in this podcast, it would mean the world to us if you could share it with your network. Lastly, we love feedback. It's how we get better. So if you wouldn't mind spending 30 seconds and leaving us an honest review on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever platform you're using, that would be super sweet. If you want to get on Adam or Kevin's calendar, go to tgwipodcast.com/contact. We want to help you invest safely, wisely, and ultimately get you out of the rat race. Thanks again.
I'm like seriously tired, because last night this stupid bird decided to nest in a bush right outside our bedroom window. It kept us up like all night, man. My wife and I both woke up at like 1:30, and we're like, that stupid bird. And you know how mad that makes you when you're woken up by something like that?
Like, damn you, Mother Nature.
Exactly. So I walk outside and took this it's a bow staff we have from my wife and my kids are into martial arts, so we have this bow staff. So I took it outside. It's the perfect thing to like whack that bush with and get him out of there.
Did they get out?
I'm out there at 1:30 in the morning, like, whacking at this bush, and yeah, it flew out. So I went back to bed. And then like an hour later, it starts all over again. I'm like, oh, come
It
on.
came back. It's like,
So
oh,
I
no way.
got
They're not
up,
gonna kick me out.
went out, did the same thing. It flew off again. And it didn't come back, but it went to our neighbors. And the darn bird was so loud we could still hear it. So I'm kind of a zombie today, man. Stupid bird.
No, that's totally fine. I think we're okay.